We have a lot to get through this morning, so let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. We've walked away with 3 points at Molineux. My word, who would have thought it after that first half? I mean, that probably goes down as one of the worst first halves I've saw in many a year with West Ham play. It was honestly, we got nowhere near the ball. Wolves dominated possession, and I'm really surprised they didn't take advantage of it. And if I was Gary O'Neill, I'd be going absolutely ballistic at the players for not taking advantage of it. But obviously something happened at halftime, and the reason why I'm here is to talk to you about the 5 things that I loved about the game against Wolves. Yes, I have found 5 things that I love against from the game against Wolves. West Ham beating Wolves at Molineux. And the first thing to talk to you today about is David Moyes and his changes. As you can see here, I've put in Moyes' changes because he is, always not sometimes, probably most of the time when things go wrong at West Ham, the person that West Ham fans blame. But when things go right at West Ham, not the time that fans turn around and actually give him credit. But he does deserve credit because his team selection wasn't right. Again, okay, and people will turn around and say, well, he shouldn't have made those decisions in the first place, but nothing is easy in life. It's not, right? And that's it. That's the way it is in a nutshell. But he did make the changes in the second half, and those changes really drove West Ham on. We never allowed Wolves to get the much possession as they did in the first half in particular. Even their defenders had so much time on the ball. They could drive out from the back and be slow on their build-up because no West Ham player was pressing them. But that whole dynamic changed in the second half. So you've got to give the boss credit when it's due because he did get it right by making the substitutions early, something that he's not really necessarily known for, but he did do it, and fair play. And I suppose that shows West Ham have got that element of resilience, and that's good knowing that we can build up that resilience and have that momentum going into the game against Bayer Leverkusen. Listen, no one is remotely saying that this is going to be an easy tie. Of course, we all know it's not going to be an easy tie against Leverkusen on Thursday, but it is what it is. We've got to play the best teams that's in front of us. They are the only team in Europe now, I believe, that are unbeaten in all competitions, and they won again yesterday against Union Berlin, and so be it. We've now got the opportunity to be the first team to beat them, and let's hope we can do something or hold them or do something there, because what we want to do is just be within the tie. But yesterday, we've showed some form of resilience by just keep going. Okay, yeah, we got a little bit of VAR luck, but that is something that we don't ever get. And it's not even anywhere near equaled out in terms of favouring West Ham with the VAR results. We're still owed a couple of VAR decisions. And to be honest with you, VAR has ruined football. It really genuinely has. It's made it dramatically worse, a really dramatic worse experience. But anyway, resilience is definitely up there for West Ham. Now, number 3, I've put an interesting one, Paqueta, and Kudus. Now, the reason why I've put them is because things can only get better. We know what the two of them are capable of, and that was probably, between the two of them, their worst performance in a West Ham shirt. Even in the second half, they could never really get into the vibe. They kept running into traffic. They were man-marked by about 3 or 4 players every single time they got the ball. But I think that's come at the right time in a game like that, a kind of wild game like that. We saw a different performance from them against Newcastle for the first 60 minutes. And in the game against Wolves today, we really didn't see them firing up any trees in that game, and it's probably having that game and getting that out of their system is possibly good for West Ham to move forward, definitely. And I can see why they would know that that's not been their best game. I mean, I'm looking at the ratings; they've rated really low, and I don't blame the official ratings out there because they didn't perform at all on the day. We didn't rely on Kudus or Paqueta to get over the line today. We had to rely on other team and other players, and yeah, that is what it is. So yeah, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that they didn't have their best performance because they now know that they can't go back to that standard again. You'd rather it there when we get 3 points in the league against Wolves, and they've struggled, and hope that they can correct that for the next game. Now, I want to talk to you about this man, number 4, Antonio. I've said it all along. I've said it every single season. When people doubt him, he bangs, he comes back and fights fit. And the thing is, see, when you utilize Antonio in the right way, then bang, that's exactly what you get. You get a player that can really add strong value to the squad. The funny thing is, we've become reliant on him being the main man up top again. And he's not been doing that all season, but it wasn't the right decision to rest him, but he came on and he made such a difference. He really did. People are really struggling to deal with him. He's 34, man, and he looks like, honestly, I think in my head that if we had this Antonio 10 years ago, this fit, like it would have been ridiculous when we first signed him. But he's just causing defenses so many problems. And I think he's thriving upon having that support network from Jared Bowen, Mo Kudus, and Paqueta in the middle of the park. It's a very, very interesting thing. And we need to rely heavily on these quartets staying fit. Of course, we're hearing mixed news. We don't really know what the situation with Jared Bowen. No one really does probably know until they go and check it. But hopefully it's just more of an impact injury and he will be fighting fit for Thursday. And I think hopefully he will be. But having Antonio fighting fit is very, very good for West Ham. And I don't think Bayer Leverkusen will come up against a striker like that. Now, last but not least, I'm going to talk to you about Ben Johnson. Now, loads of people, me included, are saying that I'm worried about the strength and depth in the West Ham squad. We made, I believe, 3 substitutions today, and they were right. And all 3 substitutions made a difference for West Ham today. You've got to give Creswell credit for when he came on the park. I thought he'd done really well, and I judged the substitution, but he did play well. Ben Johnson had a phenomenal second half. A really good second half. He's been stepping up to the plate as of late and been doing really well in a West Ham shirt. And this is why I've titled the show as part of it, Give Him a New Contract. Because honestly, I'm fed up of West Ham over the years, spending the money they have on all the players, all the crazy wages for all of these players, for them never to work out. The Chicharitos of the world, the Vlasic's of the world, the Calvin Phillips, with all due respect to him, he's still at the club, of the world, how much they're getting paid, and we're potentially crying over the difference of 10 grand. And when you've got a player of his age, of his ability, with his experience under his belt, what you need to do, in my opinion, is sign him up. You don't let him go on the cheap. You don't let him go on the cheap. Do you know what? It is what it is. You've got to pay the going rate. I think he does have a genuine opportunity to be our new right back, our new fullback, because Sufal struggled and Ben Johnson didn't. And I'm not just saying it just after that one performance. I've been a Ben Johnson fan since he came into the side a few years ago. And I think he's been really unlucky, genuinely unlucky in his West Ham career from being utilised in roles that he was never really suited to. But he is a fullback and he really suits that role. And I think he really does. He grabs the ball, he drives forward, he cuts in field, he knows how to read the game quite well. He drops back, he makes his tackles, he's comfortable on the dribble, he's got the pace to come back and support that defence as well. And if we're going to be going for a reasonably all new look defence, then he needs to be part of the plans for West Ham moving forward. So Tim, sit down with the guy, sign him a contract, get him done, so push it to bed. Don't let him leave the club. Let's not make the mistake. We can't be letting someone with heavy experience in the Premier League. I'm not being horrible to players like Diangana. I'm not being horrible to other players that have left the club, and Ngakias of the world, but Ben Johnson has been vital to West Ham's push up into the world that we're in just now, and I feel like we need to reward that with a form of contract. So if you are watching, you let me know what your thoughts are from the 5 things that I loved about Wolves 1, West Ham 2. Listen, a game of 2 halves. Everybody knows that first half was not great. Second half, so much better. And that's the frustration as a West Ham fan. The inconsistencies are rife with amongst us, but we got the points. We've gone joint on with Manchester United, and long may that continue. We need to cement if we can, the league position to get some form of European football next year, if we can, and keep the momentum going into the game against Bayer Leverkusen. Join us at 12:30 today for another very exciting celebrity My Hammers 11. Take it easy, and of course, come on, you Irons.